Early morning at the Supernatural Academy. The silhouette of a young man is hunched over, his opponent still refusing to surrender. The screen displays a battle game. He is Ning Feng with a significant advantage. How could he possibly lose? Suddenly, a hand rises high. She gives him a slap that turns his face. It's Wang Yu, reminding him that the awakening exam is coming soon, yet he's still playing games. Ning Feng scratches his head and smiles, saying he's combining study with rest. Besides, he's already 18. At most, he'll only awaken a normal profession. Ning Feng leans on her shoulder, admitting he's not as talented as her, who awakened a 5-star profession at just 16. He jokes that in the future, he'll just need to flatter her. Wang Yu angrily grabs his neck, nearly choking him in the middle of the courtyard as people watch. The onlookers buzz with excitement. She is the goddess Wang Yu, recently returned from special training. They whisper among themselves. She awakened a 5-star ability at 16. A rare talent these days. She's beautiful, from a good family, highly gifted. She's perfect. People wonder who the guy beside her is. He's Ning Feng, nicknamed Trash, 18 years old and still not awakened. Wang Yu turns and pulls Ning Feng away, while below, the chatter continues. How could someone as beautiful as her hang out with Ning Feng? Wang Yu grew up with him, but he's truly unworthy of being her childhood friend. The scene shifts to Lam Tin, a world merging games and reality. The crowd grows noisy. Anyone 16 or older has the chance to awaken supernatural abilities and become an adventurer. Before the exam, candidates listen to the rules. Everyone stands in orderly lines, paying close attention. Ning Feng remains calm, deep in thought. She's being so stubborn. He's already taken this test 3 times. He's no rookie. Qi Wei will directly conduct the examination. Whoever she calls must come forward for testing. Students who successfully awaken will receive basic equipment for their profession, preparing for real combat. The candidates around him all have aspirations, becoming a mage, a powerful profession to bravely face direct confrontation, or an agile profession to kill invisibly. One student speaks up. No one understands anything, but the mother profession is truly the best. Qi Wei calls Ning Feng from class 12. All the students around him laugh mockingly. He's the senior from class 12, a legendary figure who follows Wang Yu everywhere. They thought he was formidable, but he still hasn't awakened. If he doesn't awaken now, his life is truly wasted. Ms. Wei offers a gentle smile, her soothing voice reassuring him not to be tense. If he's prepared, he can begin the test. She instructs him to place his hand on the crystal and relax his mind. Ning Feng places his hand on the crystal, but he's truly anxious and nervous. Suddenly, Ning Feng's eyes light up with surprise. The crystal glows, amazing everyone. He's genuinely shocked, sweating. Ms. Qi Wei thinks that with such a reaction from the crystal, he might awaken. This blue light represents the magic system. The candidates below burst into laughter. Qi Wei nods slightly, thinking that awakening automatically teaches initial skills. Next, she'll see what star-level profession he can awaken. His eyes widen with bright pupils, astonished and speechless. The notification shows he has awakened a 1-star skill, clay magic. The woman standing behind him had expectations, but a 1-star result is disappointing. The candidates below laugh, mocking him for having only 1 star. He's trash, they say, telling him to go down. Ms. Qi Wei asks what skill he wanted to awaken. He's stunned, making her call him again before he answers. Ms. Wei is truly a caring teacher. She considers Ning Feng's feelings, thinking he must be greatly impacted to remain silent for so long. He's also very disappointed, not understanding why he only got 1 star. Qi Wei hands him his equipment for the next trial. Holding his gear, he still can't accept it. A notification appears, verifying the host. He has completed his awakening, activating the system. Ning Feng is shocked to learn he has received 2 skills, granted power by darkness, using forbidden spells without cost, and getting 1 free use weekly. Unexpectedly, he possesses evil power and the world's highest magic. The system tells him to prepare for transformation, but he still can't believe he's transforming. Ning Feng has successfully transformed, now possessing the defiled earth body. He stands dazed, completely stunned. Thinking back, he feels something's off, having both forbidden spells and dark transformation, plus combat testing. But he should be fine. Qi Wei organizes everyone into groups of 5 for training. No helping each other, no fighting, everyone fends for themselves, with surveillance drones constantly overhead. Ning Feng puts on his equipment, looking like a different person. Ms. Wei assures all candidates that no one can see their confirmed skills. He carries an active skill, summon a dark shield from another dimension, protecting himself and crushing enemies who come near. His eyes suddenly become worried. He thinks these dark forbidden spells are very dangerous. If anyone discovers their evil magic, he's doomed. The candidates enter a magic chamber together. He's still angry, needing an explanation from this damned system. Finally, it's Ning Feng's turn to enter the magic door. In a desolate forest, early sunlight filters through the treetops, a slow, peaceful scene. Suddenly, a fierce battle erupts. Monsters are enraged by human presence. They hold weapons, their terrifying eyes hunting the humans who invaded their territory. Ning Feng hides behind bushes, silently observing everything. He thinks carefully. The entire field is monitored by drones. He can't casually use forbidden spells. Sadly, he can't attack, only hide and wait for opportunities. Drones buzz everywhere, closely monitoring every movement. Captain Zhu watches through the drone cameras, wondering why, while other candidates are practicing killing monsters, he's hiding. Ms. Wei explains that because he awakened late, his health isn't good. He only has magic skills and can't fight alone. Hearing this, the captain angrily wants to cancel his test, but just then, the drone operator discovers a problem. The captain worries, not understanding what's happening. The operator doesn't know either. The drone might have been attacked. The monitoring screen shows warnings. He orders an investigation into what happened. The drone lies shattered. A candidate, pale and bloodless, trembles in fear, never expecting such a powerful monster in the exam field. It's a goblin, now appearing with a sinister smile. It gathers all the monsters, giving a signal. It shouts loudly, raising its fist with determination, wanting no candidates to return alive. The drone above records the situation. It's discovered, and the goblin raises its fist. With just one hit, the drone shatters, falling to the ground and exploding. Unfortunately, the explosion lands right where Ning Feng is hiding. He's burned on the head, clutching it in pain, not knowing why the drone fell. He calms down and observes from behind. The monsters and goblin are hunting the hidden candidates. The goblin discovers a candidate here. Ning Feng is spotted, slightly panicked, wondering why so many monsters appeared with an elite leader. Then he remembers the drone is now broken. It's time to test how powerful this forbidden magic is. Ning Feng raises his hand, purple light emanating around it, his eyes determined for battle. A tremendous power now surrounds him, making even the monsters hesitate. The goblin is shocked and extremely surprised. From his hand, a dark energy current spills out, twisting space as if summoning a monster from another dimension. It seems Ning Feng has cast a dark forbidden spell with power that can crush everything in its path. The monsters writhe, their flesh and bones seemingly melting in pain. In the monitoring room, the situation is tense. The monitor discovers all drones have lost connection, suspecting a king-level demon has appeared. He orders Tang Vian to evacuate all uninvolved people. Qi Wei worries internally. King-level demons have great destructive power. She never expected something so terrible in the exam field. Back at the chaotic battle, the goblin is surprised by the horrific scene. Ning Feng concentrates his power to defeat the monsters, more and more falling. Looking at his hands, he's inwardly delighted, never thinking forbidden spells could be so powerful. Each defeated monster gives Ning Feng 10 experience points. The goblin stands watching, unable to do anything. It begins to fear that in its eyes, he's no longer human because his power is too terrifying. Now the dark forbidden spell has reached it, making its movements slower. Ning Feng has approached and defeated it. It screams in pain, but it's too late. A notification appears. He has gained 6,000 experience points for successfully defeating the goblin leader. After defeating the monster horde and the goblin leader, all his stats surge, surprising Ning Feng. He's now officially a level 10 mage. The experience points from small monsters are very low. He mainly got points from the goblin. But Ning Feng still doesn't understand why there was a goblin in the exam field. Where the monsters were defeated, several eyes appear, along with the goblin's dropped equipment glowing powerfully. Ning Feng sees these are spoils. He didn't expect 2 orange quality items. The first is a Vanguard badge, an orange consumable item with agility attribute. Ning Feng is delighted because these items are all rare treasures. The second is a Shadow Claw, a rare orange weapon that increases stats and attack speed. Since he can't use the claw, he'll sell it for a lot of money. Ning Feng is confident that at this rate, he can easily defeat monsters and level up. He bursts into laughter. Finally, he's prospering. The announcement sounds, requiring all candidates to stop the survey and withdraw. He doesn't know why they're stopping. He stands stunned, looking at the entire scene before him. Everything around is devastated. In his opinion, this is the power of forbidden magic. The surroundings are full of pits. It's truly terrifying. The announcement repeats. Candidates stop the survey, use the scroll to leave. Afraid of being discovered, he quickly returns. Everyone is gathering in the preparation room. Ning Feng arrives just in time. Suddenly, Captain Zhou raises his hand, asking the candidates to return to the city. He's both tense and worried. No one here can defeat a king-level demon. Would reinforcements arrive in time? His expression suddenly changes. He's truly shocked as the dark power suddenly disappears. He's extremely confused and worried the creature might have escaped the secret realm. Ms. Chi Wei reports to her superiors because this case is beyond their capacity. She requires everyone to be extremely careful not to attract attention outside. Chi Wei plans to activate the school's seal, evacuating all uninvolved people to ensure safety. Ning Feng, not fully understanding the situation, asks her. Chi Wei doesn't answer but asks if he's alright. He's dazed, confirming he's fine. She gently reminds him to leave quickly. The school's announcement to pause is transmitted. Ning Feng walks home with Wang Yu. He still feels that Kate Wei seems about to face something terrible. Ms. Yu heard vaguely that some strange power suddenly appeared in the exam field, sounding so scary they sealed it off. Hearing this, he guesses secretly that the power might be from the goblin. Wang Yu looks at him pensively, feeling sad for him. It was hard enough for him to take the awakening test, and suddenly it stops. This must have greatly impacted him. Wang Yu suggests he join her team for more convenient training. He thanks her for the kind offer but wants to train alone. She's unhappy being rejected. He smiles to ease the tension, thinking to himself that he actually wants to go, but his dark, forbidden magic can't be casually used in front of others. Wang Yu frowns, not accepting his refusal. She arranges to meet him at 8 in the morning at the West Gate, saying she'll definitely wait. Ms. Yu storms off without listening to him finish. Ning Feng rubs his head in despair because she won't listen to him. This time, he's really in trouble. He thinks of a plan. Maybe he could fake illness, but she won't let it go. He might escape today, but not tomorrow. He's truly out of options, wishing he could somehow disappear. One early morning at the Yuanqing Trading Center, people leisurely arrived at their workplace. Ning Feng stood there with a bold thought. Tomorrow he could buy fake equipment with clay magic skill attached. He calmly walked past the crowd, but in his mind he kept calculating if the system could transform equipment into forbidden spells. That would be great, along with other spoils he could sell. Xiao Exo gently stroked her hair, warmly asking if he needed any help. Ning Feng didn't hesitate to express his need for equipment. Anything would do as long as it had clay magic. Looking at him, she guessed he was newly awakened, so she professionally introduced him to their high-end magic equipment, very suitable for training without needing to buy elsewhere. Ning Feng quickly waved his hands in refusal since he only needed something temporary, not high-end equipment. Seeing this reaction, she openly despised him, turning away to call someone else to serve him. She was extremely arrogant, leaving him standing there confused as she walked away, complaining she didn't want to waste time with a poor devil like him, so she pushed a newcomer over. Yang Xin, however, was very gentle and softly offered to help him. Ning Feng suddenly remembered what he needed to do. He went with Yang Xin throughout the display area, testing compatibility, but armed guards were too cumbersome, and he couldn't even lift a sword with all his strength. Finally, he chose a ring that fit well. Yang Xin wanted to know his impression of this item. He gazed at the ring, continuously thanking her for helping him choose. As if remembering something unfinished, he asked her to show him where to sell spoils. She remained dedicated, not hesitating to take him there. The place she took him to was the appraisal and consignment section. Wang's face looked extremely bored. Hearing someone arrive, he barely lifted his lips to invite them in. Yang Xin introduced him, saying he came to exchange with Master Wang. He presented his spoils, asking how much they were worth. Wang used his appraisal skill to examine the orange claws, immediately recognizing the weapon belonged to the agility system, not high level, with 3 inlay slots that could create better effects based on attributes. Knowing it was a good item that many customers would want, he asked Ning Feng to name his price. Ning Feng was straightforward, wanting a good price. Wang stood up, indicating he wanted to make a phone call, and told Yang Xin to serve him well. He went to a corner and whispered to Zhang Ji that he had a quality item the latter was looking for. Ning Feng sat enjoying the tea poured by Yang Xin. After a while, Wang quickly pushed the door open. He informed Ning Feng he had sold the equipment for 50,000 star coins. After deducting commission, Ning Feng would receive 46,000. He was startled, not believing it sold for so much. Yang Xin seemed to notice something when looking at him, but said nothing. Wang kept him to complete procedures and transfer money to his account. Ning Feng felt this was reasonable since he had a few more items to buy, so Yang Xin didn't hesitate to go with him, wanting to choose the best items. Xiao Xu still stood arrogantly with folded arms in a corner, hearing colleagues criticize her for letting such a handsome young man go. She unapologetically criticized that people without money weren't even worthy of carrying her shoes. From afar, they saw Wan walking with Ning Feng, confused why they were together. A colleague beside her had somehow heard that he just sold a weapon for 5 million coins and was buying more. Hearing this, Xiao Xu was startled speechless. while the nearby women regretted missing the large sum equal to 3 months of their salary, blaming the person who served him for not being themselves. Xiao Ixu, hearing those words, stood frozen with embarrassment. She still had the nerve to claim she should have been the one serving him, so the commission should be hers. Yang Xin escorted Ning Feng out, not forgetting to keep him as her loyal customer. She smiled professionally, standing properly, gently introducing herself as Yang Xin. The next day, under beautiful sunshine, Ning Feng walked cheerfully whistling a tune that made passers-by tear up. He was quite confident of success, since yesterday's test showed the equipment with magic wasn't affected, so he wouldn't worry about exposure. As soon as he saw Wang Yu, he couldn't help waiting to greet her, even shouting. Suddenly, from another direction, someone was looking for her, which startled her. Zhao Cheng's group stood out in the crowd with imposing presence. He was a mage. The armored guy beside him was Warrior Chan. The red-haired man with a scar on his eyebrow was Berserker Ju Fu, and the only girl in the group was Holy Officer Jia. Wang Yu didn't hesitate to introduce him to the guild members. Holy Officer Jia and Ju Fu greeted him warmly. Ning Feng turned to greet the remaining two, only to meet cold, hateful gazes, creating a gloomy, heavy atmosphere. He frowned in confusion, wondering why they had such expressions when he didn't owe them anything. Zhao Cheng ignored him and kindly asked about Wang Yu's upcoming second transformation. She wondered why he asked about this. Ning Feng inwardly admired her, truly a genius, already at level 60, while others needed level 30 for transformation. Zhao Cheng slyly offered her a colored potion vial, a consumable item that increased agility attributes. Ju Fu was amazed, seeing a high-level potion for the first time. Holy Officer Jia thought it was very precious. Zhao Cheng kept holding the potion, boasting that he bought it for her at the cost of 20 or 30,000 star coins, difficult to buy even with his father's help. Wang Yu bluntly waved her hand, rejecting his goodwill and asking him to leave. Ning Feng, from behind, advised her to reconsider since it could help her enter a top university. Ignoring everyone, she made an excuse about being busy and left, regardless of Zhao Cheng's shock. Unwilling to let it go, he pointed at Ning Feng, questioning if she really wanted to waste time with this trash. She turned, glaring with killing intent, warning him to watch his words. As if catching a sore point, he kept mocking that she would never accomplish anything by staying with trash. Dragged into this, Ning Feng felt hatred, unconsciously having the killing intent to cast forbidden spells to kill him. Holy Officer Jia quickly tried to defuse the situation, wanting Zhao Cheng to go elsewhere with everyone, but he angrily drove everyone aside, not letting them interfere. He used an offensive tone, continuously criticizing Ning Feng for being too poor to afford even a potion, driving him away just because he was an eyesore. Feeling his words irritating, Ning Feng picked his ears, not forgetting to mock him for being like a dog, randomly biting, yet daring to brag about such a potion. Seeing his big talk, Warrior Qian laughed sinisterly, challenging him to bring out something better to open their eyes. Zhao Cheng also guaranteed he would kneel and bow if Ning Feng had anything better, but didn't forget to warn that if he couldn't produce anything, he must kneel down. Ning Feng, full of spirit, took out a badge, reminding him to prepare mentally. On the badge was a footprint. Recognizing it as a pioneer badge, Wang Yu was shocked because she had never seen one before, and he was giving it to her as a gift. Zhao Cheng's group all stared in amazement, not believing there was a prop that permanently added 10 points. Ning Feng confidently challenged them to try it to see if it was real, but Wang Yu hesitated to accept. To reassure her, he said it was just something he found at home. Holy Officer Jia and Ju Fu eagerly urged her to use it quickly. Immediately, the badge glowed and entered her armor. Everyone watched with anticipation. After it was done, she raised her hand to check and confirmed her attributes had increased. Jia's eyes were filled with admiration as she looked at her. Zhao Cheng's face had already turned purple, fearfully questioning whether this treasure was stolen, as he couldn't possibly have it. Ning Feng picked his ear triumphantly, waiting for him to bow his head and say it loudly. When he tried to back out by shouting that he wouldn't, Wang Yu challenged him, asking if he wanted to go back on his word. He discovered everyone was avoiding him, pretending not to know him. He bit his teeth in anger and knelt down. Ning Feng laughed smugly, proudly accepting this bow. Afterward, he waved to them, taking Wang Yu away, promising to see them later. The two walked side by side. Wang Yu felt guilty towards him and was about to speak when he waved his hand, not wanting her to misunderstand the relationship. He smiled brightly, affirming that her completing the second transformation and entering university was best, knowing in his heart that as long as she stayed nearby, it would be hard for him to level up. She thought he was being self-deprecating and encouraged him not to underestimate himself. He felt helpless because she was overthinking again. Then she gave him a book, which made him curious. Ning Feng looked puzzled at the two purple glowing skill books. She was excited, looking forward to when he could practice them. He flipped through each page, evaluating that these items weren't cheap. She didn't care about the price, just wanting to give a gift in return. He closed the book, no longer being polite, and happily accepted it. In the secret realm, the dangerous cemetery, a vast area full of tombstones with crows flying overhead, suddenly a hand stretched up from a grave, followed by others wielding weapons and charging forward. Very quickly, two blue light beams shot straight over, accurately piercing through the heads of two monsters, killing them on the spot. Wang Yu's marksmanship was truly perfect. Ning Feng cheered endlessly beside her, but a moment later, his face turned dull, criticizing that the experience points here weren't enough for him since he was already level 10, but he couldn't tell her, which made him feel helpless. As she was preparing to change bows and continue training, her phone suddenly rang. As soon as she answered, the voice on the other end was extremely urgent, informing her that the big boss, the fallen law demon, was about to appear. Over here, Zhao Qing's group had already gathered completely. This was a rare opportunity, so Jia didn't hesitate to share it with her. Holy Officer Jia asked Wang Yu over the phone if she would come. Zhao Qing, from behind, folded his arms and said into the phone that Wang Yu must come. If she didn't come, how could they go fight the boss? The fallen law demon could drop very rare mage items, extremely important for Zhao Qing. Wang Yu was silent for a moment, then looked at Ning Feng. He waved his hand, telling Wang Yu to go ahead. It was fine. After all, they were both in this secret realm. He could train a bit later without any issue. Wang Yu had no choice but to leave early. She sighed, telling Ning Feng to go to the safe zone and wait for her. Ning Feng raised his hand in agreement. After that, Wang Yu kicked off and flew away. Ning Feng shouted from behind in a joking tone, calling Wang Yu a big shot, telling her to be careful, to come visit him when she was free. Wang Yu unhappily yelled back, telling Ning Feng to shut up. After Wang Yu left, only Ning Feng remained. He loosened his collar, muttering that finally he was alone. Big boss? Today it seemed the time had come. Ning Feng stood looking into the distance, muttering that luckily he had prepared early last night and learned about two skills. After all, they could all be used for free once, and of course, the more forbidden spells, the better. At this moment, the system notified that the passive skill Mysterious Gift allowed all of Ning Feng's forbidden spells to be released for free once a week. Ning Feng stretched, saying it was a pity that at his current level, he only had 3 skill slots. The skill books the young lady gave him required level 15 to use. The system displayed his passive and active skills, with many frames still not unlocked. In the secret realm's dangerous cemetery, monsters appeared everywhere. A group of people hid above. One person in the group said the big boss appeared in a high tower deep in the secret realm. They needed to attack from here directly to there. Must be careful. The instance had a very high difficulty, and the monsters inside were extremely dangerous. Their group noticed a strange phenomenon, a large fire in the distance. A girl in the group told the person in full armor to look quickly. An adventurer squad had already moved forward. The armored person stammered, wondering how they advanced so far. The remaining 2 young men said it was Wang Yu and Zhao Cheng's tutor guild. In the entire kingdom, those 2 were new stars with super strong strength. The other guys sighed that the reputation was well deserved. It seemed others had no chance. Wang Yu's group fought together. Zhao Cheng laughed excitedly that this boss was definitely theirs. Those trash teams had nothing to compete with him. The scene of the whole group fighting together was very harmonious, creating difficulties for the monsters here. Holy Officer Jia asked Jufu if he felt Wang Yu had become more powerful. Jufu smiled, saying indeed, after all, agility increased by 10 points at once. In the depths of the secret realm's dangerous cemetery was a dilapidated, dark castle. A magic hole suddenly appeared. Ning Feng walked along, sighing that indeed, the forbidden spell's spatial magic instantly arrived. He opened the spell book to check the active skill Void Path Forbidden Dark Magic, which tears through space to enter the dark world, quickly teleporting to the target location, maintaining for 1 hour. From below the ground, a high-level monster appeared, Yu Yao. Ning Feng calmly smiled, waving and saying he was late. Yu Yao launched an attack that startled Ning Feng, making him step back a bit. Where the attack landed, it immediately made the earth and rocks explode. He smugly mocked Ning Feng, asking if he was an adventurer who didn't know his limits, daring to appear here alone. He didn't expect that immediately after, rushing up from the ruins, dark forbidden magic spread around Ning Feng. The monster took a few steps and heard a sound from behind. Ning Feng replied that it was because he didn't want to share the spoils with others. Yu Yao stammered, not understanding what he meant. Ning Feng didn't give him a chance to finish his sentence and immediately launched the spell transformation. The active skill, heavenly round fire rain forbidden dark magic, summoning intense fire rain from the sky, creating extremely large damage in an area. Both sides engaged in battle, spreading purple smoke and dust, shaking the gloomy castle. Ning Feng smiled. Yu Yao had been defeated by him. The system displayed notifications. Eliminated Corpse Demon, experience points plus 200. Eliminated Dark Eating Ghost, experience points plus 200. Eliminated Dark Armored Knight, experience points plus 200. Another notification. Eliminated Yu Yao, experience points plus 50,000. Ning Feng shouted happily that at level 30, he could undergo his first transformation. Ning Feng thought to himself that the spoils were indeed abundant, jewelry and gems he all needed. Unfortunately, the 2 skill books weren't for mages specifically, but they were still worth a lot of money. The accessories and jewelry Ning Feng obtained this time were Fallen Law Pillar, Dark Stone, and Demon Mark. Ning Feng reached out to grab the Demon Mark, saying he would absorb this himself. Although it might reduce his physical strength, he could still accept it. The system displayed a notification telling Ning Feng to check the special item Demon Mark. Ning Feng read the notification. During profession change, it can activate the hidden profession Ghost Demon Mage, or trigger the prerequisite missions for the hidden all-system Divine Mage profession. Ning Feng smiled, thinking hidden professions were quite rare, moreover all innate, with no way for humans to intervene. Could these marks be the key to activating hidden professions? Ning Feng clenched his fists happily, saying no more words. A real man wants to be an all-system Divine Mage. After speaking, Ning Feng turned and left. Wang Yu and Zhao Cheng's group arrived to find the scene completely devastated. Everyone was confused about what had happened. Ju Fu wondered what had occurred. The magic fluctuations were truly frightening. Wang Yu suggested they not move forward, but retreat quickly. Zhao Cheng still regretfully spoke up. Wang Yu said sternly that the situation was so dangerous. Did he want to harm everyone? Zhao Cheng couldn't answer this question from Wang Yu. The situation was indeed very dangerous. He unwillingly gritted his teeth, cursing silently. Damn it, such bad luck. Wang Yu took out her phone to inform Ning Feng, but he had already messaged her, saying sorry, he had some urgent business and left first. Ning Feng went to the transformation hall, walked up the stairs, and entered. Ning Feng asked if there was no one there. He looked to the side and saw a girl, Su Lan. She also saw Ning Feng entering and lifted her glasses, asking if he came to accept the transformation mission. Ning Feng answered yes. Su Lan said all right, starting to type on the computer, saying she would log in Ning Feng's information for a bit. Su Lan began asking for his name, age, and profession. Ning Feng answered each question, but hadn't yet answered about his profession. Su Lan looked at him and evaluated that at 18 years old, he was just undergoing his first transformation. His aptitude was somewhat poor. She stood up, leading the way and pointing, telling Ning Feng to follow her. Ning Feng nodded. Su Lan led him to another room and instructed him further that Ning Feng should just follow the procedure. She went out first. Ning Feng thanked Su Lan and went ahead. She stood there for a moment and then noticed someone approaching. Su Lan asked Captain Zhu what was the matter. Captain Zhou said he had just been to the scene to investigate. The dangerous cemetery was severely damaged, the source of power still unclear, but the estimated threat level could reach king level or above. Su Lan was surprised that in just 2 short days, there were already 2 king level threats. Captain Zhou nodded, saying that's why the superiors sent him to request her to take action. The system displayed a mission notification, Soul Master Transformation Mission. Condition: enter the Hopeless Ghost Tomb's secret realm and obtain the Blood Soul Crown item. Time limit: 3 days. An all-system Divine Mage Transformation Mission prerequisite. Condition: enter the Glorious Divine Temple's secret realm and obtain the Sacred Divine Mark item. Time limit: 3 days. Difficulty: S rank. Ning Feng muttered that there were 2 branches to choose from. He thought that the all-system Divine Mage was just a prerequisite mission, so he chose it right away. Ning Feng reached out to accept the mission. The system notified, transformation mission accepted successfully. Please check related information. Ning Feng walked down the stairs. As he walked, he remarked that this was indeed a hidden profession, even having an S-rank transformation mission. He sighed in relief that the time limit was 3 days, so he didn't need to be too tense. An attendant escorted Ning Feng out leisurely. He happily waved, thanking her, and walked outside. After a few steps, he realized she looked somewhat familiar. In a devastated scene, a group of people stood looking at a girl. Zhang Ji spoke up, saying it was his first time seeing someone from Lone Shadow. Even their uniforms were different from each other. Captain Zhou signaled for silence, then explained that after all, This organization's existence was a secret agency. He said people claimed all Lone Shadow members possessed a rare hidden profession that could use dark power to fight, specializing in special missions. Sulan seemed to have a headache, muttering that the dark power was too strong. Even though much had dissipated, it still affected her. Captain Joe said no clues were found. It seemed the culprit had caused damage and disappeared, making it difficult to understand the opponent's purpose. He said recently he often received reports of unusual signs in some secret locations, possibly harbingers of some kind of crisis. Was there a connection between them? Sulan lifted her glasses and replied she couldn't say. She would remind superiors to increase investigation personnel. Captain Joe wondered if even the famous Kong Lam of Lone Shadow felt a headache. Zhang Ji approached to ask Sulan if she could confirm whether the culprit was a monster or perhaps it was due to. Sulan asked if he wanted to know if the culprit could be an abnormal person like her. Zhang Ji became flustered, apologizing, saying he didn't mean anything by it. Sulan explained the danger level here had surpassed the king level. To control such a massive dark power, the price was simply not something human flesh and blood could bear. Zhang Ji gradually understood the problem. In other words, an extremely powerful monster was hiding in the city, potentially bringing disaster at any time. Sulan confirmed, fearing the monster was hiding in the darkness and needed to be found quickly. At Ningfeng's home, he had changed into comfortable clothes. Stepping out from behind a curtain, he muttered that this small, hazy environment made him feel inexplicably comfortable. Ningfeng sat on the bed, talking to himself that after reaching level 30, he could add 4 new skills. First, he'd try the 2 books Wan Yu gave him. The system notified, detected magic shield skill, can be integrated with the Defiled Earth Forbidden Spell Body. Automatic process completed. Learn passive skill, Defiled Earth Guardian. Ningfeng pressed the skill button. The system notified, passive skill, Defiled Earth Guardian, automatically activates when attacked. 100% of damage will be absorbed by the Defiled Earth Body. After the attack ends, the Defiled Earth Body will automatically recover. Ningfeng smiled, realizing forbidden spells could integrate with low-level magic to create new effects. He added that this way he had another defense method. Ordinary damage would have no effect on him at all. Sitting on the bed looking at the book, he decided to check this one next. The content inside revealed lava magic could be integrated with the Defiled Earth Forbidden Spell Body and Heavenly Round Fire Rain. Automatic process completed. Received passive skill, Earth Element Mastery. All effects from Earth Magic plus 20%. Ningfeng looked at his passive and active skill panels and sighed, saying he still lacked 4 skill slots. He would go to the trading center to buy some new books. At the trading building, Ningfeng walked inside. Xiao Exu recognized him. She had looked down on him before, but now knowing Ningfeng wasn't a poor wretch, she warmly approached to greet him. Ningfeng also responded to that girl, saying he was looking for Yang Xin. Xiao Exu twirled her hair, saying Yang Xin was with another customer. Today she would guide him. Ningfeng made an O sound, saying it wasn't necessary. He would go by himself. Xiao Exu was confused, not expecting Ningfeng to say that. She was angry enough to emit smoke, muttering in her head that he wasn't a man, daring to refuse her. Was she not as good as Yang Xin? Xiao Exu followed Ningfeng, adding it was fine. This was her responsibility. Footsteps hurriedly approached him, someone calling Ningfeng's name. Yang Xin ran from behind. Ningfeng turned around, asking if this wasn't Yang Xin and if she had finished her business. Due to running quickly, she temporarily couldn't answer right away, stopping to hold her knees while panting. Yang Xin said she wasn't busy, just having a bite to eat. A colleague had told her he arrived, so she quickly ran over. Ningfeng apologized for bothering her during her break, saying he would make it up to Yang Xin with a meal later. Yang Xin laughed happily, saying Ningfeng was too polite. Xiao Exu, seeing Ningfeng ignore her but become so happy when seeing Yang Xin, was visibly angry. Ningfeng and Yang Xin went to the appraisal room to find Wan. Ningfeng told him he wanted to entrust these 2 skill books for sale, and additionally, he wanted to buy some king-level mage skill books. Wang sat at the desk looking at him, then said it was fine and told Yang Xin to go with Ningfeng. Yang Xin accepted. After Ningfeng left, Wang's face immediately darkened. He pondered, last time it was an orange weapon, this time purple skill books. His background was quite interesting. He needed to have someone investigate. Ningfeng and Yang Xin went to a restaurant to eat. Both chatted very happily. After a long while, Ningfeng raised his hand to call for the bill. Yang Xin smiled, telling Ningfeng it wasn't necessary. She had paid for everything already. Ningfeng was surprised, questioning wasn't he supposed to treat her? Yang Xin smiled, replying he couldn't. She also had reasons to treat him. Ning Feng was curious about the reason. Yang Xin pushed Ning Feng's back, giggling that it was a secret. The two walked outside the restaurant. Ning Feng asked to see Yang Xin off. She said it wasn't necessary to trouble him. She had to go elsewhere and could catch a taxi herself. Ning Feng said all right and reminded Yang Xin to be careful. Yang Xin got into a taxi. The driver asked where she wanted to go. Yang Xin said to City Hospital No. 2. Yang Xin thought of her relative lying in the hospital, silently thanking Ning Feng. Thanks to him, she had earned a lot of commission. Her father's medical expenses for this month had finally been resolved. Yang Xin's eyes welled with tears. Suddenly, there was the sound of glass shattering completely. The windows of the taxi Yang Xin was sitting in. The driver in the front seat was severely injured. Yang Xin looked around in panic. The car had crashed into a vehicle in front. Outside, many cars had stopped, scattered across the road. People were panicking as monsters appeared everywhere, attacking humans. Yang Xin opened the car door and rushed out, falling painfully onto the road. She gritted her teeth, muttering, wondering what was happening. Were there monsters in the safe zone? A monster was lurking behind Yang Xin. In the sky, a hole gradually appeared, and a monster, perhaps the leader, was descending to this area. He looked like a monster with an evil smile, wearing a necklace with a skull biting a blue crystal around his neck. An explosion occurred. The monster roared but still had no significant damage. Yang Xin was shocked it had no effect. Yang Xin had 1-star attributes, a mage profession with first transformation, level 34. The monster advanced to attack. Yang Xin could only weakly cover her face and scream. Captain Zhou suddenly rushed forward to attack the monster, helping Yang Xin. Captain Zhou asked if she was okay. Yang Xin sat on the ground, saying she was fine, but her soul hadn't fully returned yet. Captain Zhou told Yang Xin to find shelter first if she could move. Hearing this, Yang Xin turned and ran, shocked to see everything around was completely smashed. Yang Xin ran to find a safer hiding place. Captain Zhou looked around, saying the secret realm had begun merging with reality. He had never encountered such a serious situation. He looked at those creatures, basically not something a normal person with 1-star attributes could handle alone. Captain Zhou recalled Zhang Ji's words, which worried him. Suddenly, a sharp hand reached from behind Captain Zhou. He quickly sensed it and jumped up, successfully evading. Captain Zhou sat on the ground, looking up at that monster and asking human, could it be an abnormal person? The monster smiled contemptuously, saying, abnormal person? I'm not that kind of trash. I am Chun Gujia of Dark Power. Captain Zhou pondered what Chun Gujia was. He had never heard of it. Then he dismissed the thought. Now wasn't the time to care about these things. Captain Zhou swung his sword to attack Chun Gujia. He responded with a powerful punch to the ground, creating a loud sound, even generating an extremely powerful force that sent Captain Zhou flying into the air. Captain Zhou gritted his teeth, thinking this was serious trouble, that Chun Gujia's power was at least equivalent to 3rd transformation or higher. Chun Gujia pointed his hand at the ground, laughing loudly, saying this was his territory. He contemptuously called Captain Zhou a chicken who basically had no ability to fight him. As soon as he finished speaking, Chun Gujia moved forward, delivering a painful punch to Captain Zhou's stomach, sending him flying far away, landing painfully on the ground. Gujia laughed eagerly. He had truly become stronger. As he set foot on this land, it seemed a stream of power was rising. The skull necklace biting the crystal emitted a voice. Despicable human, don't continue to be self-absorbed. Chun Gujia stammered, begging for forgiveness. A crack appeared in the sky, causing the surroundings to shake, saying his power was granted by some force. Without the appearance of that force, he would be like his other counterparts, just a reptile. Chun Gujia looked up at the sky with the crack growing larger bit by bit. A head emerged, followed gradually by a complete demon. As the boss descended, Chun Gujia immediately knelt before him. The boss demanded that Gujia prove he was still valuable enough to continue existing. The boss revealed only his eyes and a terrifying smile, saying to use everyone in this city as sacrifices for a king like him to come to this world. Chun Gujia knelt, trembling, obeying the command. On Ning Feng's side, he had just walked out of the men's restroom, squinting his eyes peacefully. After opening his eyes, Ning Feng was shocked by the scene before him. Ning Feng wondered aloud, asking himself what had happened outside. Hideous monsters walking everywhere, people being attacked and falling with severe injuries, houses and vehicles devastated and scattered. A monster saw Ning Feng. Its eyes lit up as it rushed toward him. A crack gradually appeared from the ground. When the monster had just reached that position, power from below rose up, throwing it far away. Ning Feng took out a magic book along with earth and jade. Ning Feng put on his profession equipment, raising his hand, exclaiming how lucky he was. Today he had spent a lot of money to buy these weapons, which came with purple skills and increased his earth magic. Ning Feng opened the door and entered. The scene inside shocked him. People attacked to the point of being half dead, lying sprawled on the ground. Chun Gujia walked around, laughing loudly, saying he had let a worm like him slip through. Then he approached Ning Feng and raised his claw. Ning Feng shouted in surprise, wondering what kind of soul monster he was. Chun Gujia grabbed him and lifted him high. His eyes were wild, grinding his teeth as he looked at Ning Feng. Ning Feng emanated forbidden spell power, making Chun Gujia lose control. He stammered, asking how Ning Feng could block his attack. Sweat covered his face. The boss behind him also couldn't bear it because the dark power was too strong. He looked at Ning Feng in panic, crying out that Ning Feng's power was much stronger than his. He sensed from Ning Feng a force even more terrifying than death. He exclaimed that Ning Feng seemed very formidable. Did he want to cast a forbidden spell in the city? Ning Feng had kept his eyes tightly closed until now. Now he opened them. He broke through what had been restraining him, shattering in midair. Chun Gujia's arm that had been holding Ning Feng withered and was destroyed. Chun Gujia stammered, calling for his leader, but what he received was a warning that the person he called could no longer be contacted. He should think of a way himself. Space trembled. The circle in the sky appeared, changing. Other monsters announced to quickly return as the gate was about to close. Then the hole in the sky closed. Chun Gujia stood before Ning Feng, clutching his arm, stammering incoherently about his power. Why was it like this? Ning Feng stood facing him with a sinister smile, mockingly laughing once. So-called supernatural users are those who, during awakening, receive a hidden profession from the shadow system. Just by using dark power, their strength already surpasses professions of the same level. So once Chun Gujia lost his dark power, he was defeated. He stood in a corner with a sharp tree still in his body, his eyes showing only whites. Ning Feng let out a breath because Gujia was difficult to deal with. Fortunately, he could attack without defending. He thought to himself that he should first collect the dropped spoils and then take the opportunity to run home while no one was paying attention. The city scene was devastated. Xiang said all the monsters had retreated and the secret realm invasion phenomenon had disappeared. Sulan walked while thinking. Both times it was destructive magic. Each time the secret realm invaded, it also unexpectedly disappeared. She wondered what the enemy really wanted. Sulan asked Xiang about other places. Xiang replied that they were basically all safe. Only the team in the South City suffered serious damage, their current status unclear. Sulan muttered that South City was Captain Zhou's area of responsibility. She said they should go there to check. Duan bent down to observe Chun Gujia, surprised that all his items had been taken. Sulan and Xiang approached. She asked Duan not to move, asking who he was. Duan took out his badge, saying not to be tense. He was a member of Outer Cloud Illusion. Sulan said Outer Cloud Illusion was an unofficial organization established entirely by warriors. Duan nodded. Sulan said she heard Outer Cloud Illusion members always acted secretly, so why was he appearing here today? Duan glanced at Gujia, saying it was because of him. He said Gujia was originally a member of their organization but betrayed them. He had assisted the Secret Realm's invasion into reality, bringing monsters to attack their camp. Except for the survivors, others had sacrificed themselves. Xiang told Sulan that this was just like what had just happened. Sulan wondered if the Secret Realm invasion stopped because Gujia was eliminated. Duan pointed to Chun Gujia and asked Sulan if she had made him like this. Sulan shook her head. They also didn't know who had done this to him. Duan thought to himself that this Chun Gujia liked to hide in Secret Realm spaces, extremely cunning. Each time he found him, he could escape. Sulan thought that Captain Zhou, with his third transformation strength, could still be swept away, yet someone directly defeated the enemy and stopped the Secret Realm invasion. Sulan and Duan both shared the same question. Was there such a formidable figure in Tandu City? Sulan saw Duan preparing to leave and asked where he was going. Duan said he was going to find something. At Ning Feng's home, he had changed into comfortable home clothes, excitedly shouting that Gujia's dropped items unexpectedly included 2 Orange Warrior Profession equipment sets. The first was Eternal Majesty Light Glory, an armor and armor pants set. This was much better than boss drops. He remembered Gujia wasn't wearing them, probably because his level wasn't high enough. Otherwise, he would only have been able to defeat him using forbidden spells. Ning Feng opened his hand to look at Chun Gujia's skull necklace biting the blue crystal. He muttered, calculating that this necklace looked strange, but had no quality, information unclear, an unidentified accessory. Ning Feng flicked the skull necklace, making it swing back and forth in the air, thinking there probably wasn't any ancient god hiding inside. Ning Feng stared at the skull necklace. In another place, Ning Feng's face appeared in a crystal ball. The boss, sitting on a chair, looked at his face and sighed in relief that he had reacted quickly, closing the secret realm gate in time, probably not being discovered. In the crystal ball, Ning Feng's face appeared, muttering, "There's probably no ancient god." The boss panicked upon hearing Ning Feng's words. He shouted, telling the other monsters to cut off all communication, not to reveal his position quickly. The smaller demons panicked and ran around. The boss sighed in relief, clutching his chest, saying Ning Feng scared him to death, almost making him faint. How could he sense his presence? At the city hospital, people came to visit Captain Joe. He lay on the hospital bed, breathing heavily, his body wrapped in bandages, recounting that a young warrior had saved them. When the enemy saw him, he immediately opened a secret realm rift and fled. Sulan said she could vaguely sense this person's strength was no less than her own. Zhongji lifted his glasses, saying such a strong person couldn't catch the enemy, but then mysteriously a hidden boss defeated the enemy. Sulan said that at present it could be considered so. Sulan hypothesized that the mysterious person might have passed by or could be living in seclusion somewhere. In short, this mysterious boss was certainly not registered. Apart from a few traces of ordinary magic on last night's battlefield, nothing special could be discovered. Captain Zhou sighed, saying if that boss were here with them, it would be great. Just thinking about it made him feel safe. Zhang Ji spoke up, saying he had a rather bold idea. Sulan made a sound because she was quite curious about this idea. Zhang Ji asked if there were some remaining traces of dark power on last night's battlefield, right? Sulan immediately replied, of course, after all, the enemy was a monster from the secret realm. Zhang Ji said he wasn't very clear, it was just a guess. What if the mysterious boss they mentioned was also a supernatural user? Zhang Ji lifted his glasses, analyzing meticulously that weren't both appearances of destructive magic causing no casualties to personnel. Could it be that this mysterious boss? Zhang Ji hesitated. Captain Zhou, lying on the hospital bed, laughed a few times hearing those words, saying Zhang Ji was overthinking. Sulan rubbed her chin, wondering if she was overthinking. Ning Feng arrived at an area with 2 guards outside and a barrier. Ning Feng approached, telling the 2 he needed to do a transformation mission, asking if he could pass through. In a gloomy scene shrouded in smoke, Song Yang Sheng Dian shone brilliantly, standing out in the misty land. From afar, Ning Feng raised his hand to shield against the light, looking towards Song Yang Sheng Dian. However, behind Ning Feng was a figure hiding behind a rock, observing him. It was Duan, his eyes filled with hatred, staring at Ning Feng as if wanting to tear him to pieces. A few days ago, in the trading district, Duan was led by Xiao Exu to meet Wang. Wang happily shook hands with Duan, greeting him and asking about the 4th transformation warrior equipment set. Xiao Exu stood behind, silently praising Duan and thinking that if Duan were rich, she wouldn't have to worry in the future. Wang said someone wanted to sell this equipment but only had 2 pieces, the armor and armor pants. Hearing this, Duan immediately asked where that guest was. Wang heard this and smiled, saying that guest wasn't coming today. Duan thought of his master. Though he had never seen his master's supernatural item with his own eyes, Duan still recognized these 2 items as very similar. He requested to buy information about the seller, making Wang confused. Wang sweated because he had just spoken with Ning Feng before being questioned, suspecting if it was prearranged. Xiao Exu behind noticed his expression. Wang quickly improvised an excuse that the person was busy in the neighboring city and would confirm later. After a while in the office, Wang asked if Duan had left yet. Xiao Exu confirmed he had already left. Wang sat at his desk, his face completely dark, one hand clenched, one hand on his head. Seeing this, Xiao Exu asked Wang if something had happened. Wang began to recount Ning Feng's background, revealing his parents had 2-star professions but had disappeared. He lived alone, studied at high school No. 7, only awakened at 18, and his current profession was just 1 star. Xiao Exu was surprised, not expecting that Ning Feng, who seemed so formidable, was actually just trash. She knew from the beginning that he had some issue. He looked so pitiful, and now everything was revealed. Xiao Exu wondered where the things Ning Feng brought to sell came from. His profession was only 1 star, unable to obtain such good items. Wang was having a headache, even he didn't know. Although Ning Feng was friends with the young lady of the Wang Shi group, it couldn't have helped him that much. Xiao Exu thought of Duan's frowning, dark face earlier. She knew he wasn't very happy. Xiao Exu suggested that the equipment Ning Feng had might be stolen goods. Wang frowned tightly, saying he couldn't be sure, but it probably wasn't anything good. It seemed this time Ning Feng had offended the wrong person. Xiao Exu imagined Ning Feng being defeated miserably under Duan's hand. She smiled smugly, thinking that a fourth transformation expert was considered a peak existence in Baishen province. Xiao Exu laughed secretly, silently affirming that Ning Feng's items were stolen. This time there would definitely be a good show to watch. Back at Song Yang Shengdian, Ning Feng stood amidst the dusty wind and dim light, while Duan hid behind rocks, still watching. Duan doubted Ning Feng's ability to repel the secret realm that had once defeated his own master, finding it increasingly unbelievable. He immediately moved to another rock, thinking that if Ning Feng wasn't the master of the supernatural item, then there must be someone behind controlling him. He had to be extremely cautious. Ning Feng approached the temple gate, where many other experts were fighting monsters. He changed into different attire, catching Duan's attention. He thought that by looking at the equipment, he could judge his strength. However, Ning Feng transformed into a little elementary schoolboy. Duan recognized it as a regular student uniform, extremely ordinary, looking like elementary school attire. Duan affirmed he was disguising himself to avoid attention, making it easier to blend into the crowd and shake off followers. Duan decided to use his marking skill on Ning Feng. The system displayed the active skill name and a small guide. Duan decided to use Ning Feng's ordinary uniform as both began approaching Song Yang Shengdian. The experts were fighting a monster. Duan glanced, wondering why Ning Feng came here when the monster level in this secret realm wasn't high. Ning Feng calmly entered Song Yang Shengdian's entrance, completely unhindered. Suddenly, Ning Feng stopped as if sensing danger. A monster attacked but was easily blocked by Ning Feng using an absolute defense skill. Duan, hiding nearby, was wide-eyed with surprise. Duan marveled at the absolute defense skill, a type of skill that, no matter what, couldn't be broken. Other monsters immediately moved away from him, clearly afraid. Duan now understood that Ning Feng was not simple at all. Suddenly, Ning Feng stopped. Duan immediately recognized it was the final boss. He thought the boss wanted to solo against Ning Feng, but he didn't seem afraid at all. He looked up at the final boss, considering it a good thing there was no one else. Duan behind was very curious why a strong person like Ning Feng would want to fight such a low-level boss. The final boss didn't have many special expressions, maintaining a cold face. Duan wondered why the final boss wasn't moving, and the final boss seemed afraid of Ning Feng, beginning to sweat lightly. Ning Feng just walked around the final boss. He recalled the mission guide mentioned someone behind the final boss. The boss was trembling, seeming very scared. Duan was very surprised to observe Ning Feng just walking around. At the end of the corridor, Ning Feng stopped before a dead end, confirming he had reached the right place. The hidden boss slowly appeared in mid-air. The hidden boss initially had no reaction, almost motionless, but the hidden boss's eyes flashed, then moved through the air as if trying to hide. Ning Feng looked up, wondering why the boss was running away like that. Duan was also surprised because that was an extremely rare hidden boss, and he couldn't understand how Ning Feng knew about it. At that moment, the system announced this was the Divine Mage system, requiring entry into the glorious Divine Temple's secret realm, obtaining the sacred Divine Mark, and defeating the hidden boss Six-Winged Angel. Ning Feng smirked, thinking it was indeed an S-rank mission. Normally, no one could endure it. The hidden boss began to tremble, screaming in fear. Outside Song Yang Shengdian, thunder rumbled loudly beyond the temple. The hidden boss seemed to be trying to turn around to find an escape route, panicking as if facing an uncontrollable disaster. Rocks and earth were falling heavily. Duan fearfully retreated by instinct. Before him was a giant rock wall shaking. Duan turned pale looking at the heaven and earth-destroying magic before his eyes, realizing that this great expert's strength would certainly surpass his master's, or perhaps this was the legendary 8th transformation expert. Ning Feng on this side was complaining that before completing the first transformation, his level wouldn't increase, wasting experience points. He looked at the badge's light on his hand and decided to return to complete the mission. This badge symbolized sanctity, was of orange quality, with permanent mental attributes +8 and permanent recovery effect +100%. Ning Feng was about to move back using a teleportation scroll when Duan ran up from behind and called to him. He worried when someone appeared in this place. Duan, seeing his expression, feared he would get angry. He warmly reassured Ning Feng and asked to explain. Suddenly, from behind, a whistle sounded, startling both of them. Ning Feng held up the teleportation scroll to take them both away from this place. They teleported to a more peaceful location. After a while, Ning Feng looked up to confirm why Duan was following him. Duan stood waving his hands apologetically, wanting to confirm a few things because Ning Feng looked very young. If he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have dared to believe it. Du-an recounted that his master, even at the cost of his life, had only temporarily sealed the secret realm invasion while the traitor escaped. The traitor used humans as sacrifices to break the seal, and although he had hunted him, he always failed. Ning Feng rested his chin, complaining that Du-an, a fourth transformation expert, willingly came before him, blaming himself for having a low level and fearing he would be exposed. Du-an suddenly feared he would be killed to silence him. He immediately thanked Ning Feng and promised to come whenever he needed him. Ning Feng thought it would be useful to establish a relationship with someone of high level who could soul like him. He reminded him not to tell anyone else about this, and he agreed to the request. Du-an told himself to respect him because, even though magic was extremely powerful, he didn't harm innocent people and repelled the secret realm invasion to save the entire city. Having nowhere else to go, he decided to stay in Tandu City. Suddenly, Ning Feng's phone rang in his pocket. Ning Feng answered, and a voice asked where he was. Ning Feng said he was outside and asked if there was anything important. On the other end, Qi Wei calmly told him to wait until he returned to discuss it. Hanging up, Ning Feng was puzzled, not understanding why she called him. On the other side, Su Lan asked about the situation when she saw Qi Wei hang up. Qi Wei reported their conversation and said Ning Feng was about to return. Su Lan meant that Ning Feng was a newly awakened student, but had already reached the first transformation level, and the investigation team had almost overlooked him. But Qi Wei immediately spoke up in his defense. Su Lan still insisted on meeting him to clarify a few things. Su Lan's eyes looked up sharply. Captain Zhou reported the situation on the big screen. An elderly professor spoke up, asking if there was anything else. Su Lan sighed without speaking. Then she looked up and asked whether the two types of destructive magic appearing in Tandu City were caused by abnormal users. Everyone seriously pondered. The old man asked her why she was asking this question when she herself was an abnormal user. Su Lan explained that abnormal users would use dark power. The stronger the abnormal user, the higher the price, consuming life force, losing rationality, and even possibly turning into monsters. She also reminded that if not careful, the most normal price could cause abnormal users to fall into an irredeemable state. An abnormal user with the power of a king was basically impossible. Zhao Cheng slammed his hand on the table, saying she was off topic and advising her that if she liked, she could become a scriptwriter. Su Lan completely ignored his words. Zhao Cheng smirked, saying she only talked nonsense without investigating anything. He laughed loudly, swearing that if there were a king-level abnormal user, he would bring his head down for her to kick like a ball. The old man coughed lightly, then assigned Su Lan to investigate with the investigation team in Tandu. He also announced that Su Lan's request to send more people from the Shadow Department had not yet been approved. Su Lan angrily asked if they didn't trust her, but they told her to be more patient. She interlaced her fingers, closed her eyes, and pretended to stretch. Suddenly, a Xianlang burst in, reporting there was news. She reported to Su Lan about the secret realm in Longbik City's glorious divine temple being hit by destructive magic, temporarily with no casualties. Qi Wei then spoke up, asking about when Ning Feng passed the examination and the registered training location. Su Lan confirmed with her that it was indeed the glorious divine temple. Then she looked up, smirking at the interesting situation ahead. In Longbai City, people were gathered, discussing excitedly. No one knew what had happened at Songyang Shengdian. Some were so frightened their legs had gone weak. Guards reassured everyone that the shield had been activated, guaranteeing safety at the highest level, enough to isolate the dark forces from the outside world and prevent their spread to urban areas. Ning Feng sighed, thinking the earlier commotion was quite large, directly triggering the highest alert. Now he could only wait for it to be lifted, and then take transportation home. A spatial rift appeared, signaling an impending battle. Monsters appeared in the sky, laughing eerily. The monsters revealed their true forms, very large and frightening. They despised ordinary, weak humans who liked to hide in their turtle shells. The monster formation was massive. It was arrogant, believing the shield wouldn't stop its power. The monster pointed, giving orders. The smaller monsters rushed forward quickly. The monster leader smiled confidently, saying it would give everyone a surprise. The monsters stood before the shield. People began to have a strange feeling. Guards were also surprised by the scene, hundreds of monsters attacking the protective shield. People ran and moaned, fleeing chaotically from the monster attack. Citizens panicked as the protective barrier was ravaged by monsters. Even the guards couldn't believe they could breach the shield. The scene was chaotic, like a disturbed beehive, with people shouting and screaming. Du-an's face was cold, a faint blue energy surrounding him, true warrior's fighting spirit. Du-an judged this might be a high-level secret realm invasion. Ning Feng saw this scene was very similar to last night in Qingyu City. Duan hesitated, unsure whether to act. Ning Feng was also a bit surprised that he had a solution. Duan was about to say something but suddenly thought. Clearly Ning Feng had a solution yet still asked him. He shook his head, thinking Ning Feng couldn't be asking him about his ability. He must be testing Duan, so he didn't hesitate, accepting this challenge. Ning Feng didn't understand Duan's thoughts, but having someone to protect was good because there were too many people here for him to conveniently take action. Outside, the monsters were still attacking and devastating the city. They laughed with pleasure, destroying everywhere and attacking humans mercilessly. A guard couldn't stand watching and shot arrows in resistance, but this only made the monster more contemptuous as it felt nothing. The guard also raised his sword to attack it. A large red light flashed. The guard's sword shattered into pieces. A young man among them was amazed, such an attack, yet not even a scratch on the monster. Its weapon was still stained with the fresh blood of guards. The monster frowned, its voice hoarse, saying no human could fight it at all. Without a word, it rushed quickly toward the people running around warning each other. Its huge body had frightened people to death. They ran crying, begging for their lives. The monster went crazy, its eyes burning red, roaring, looking at the people like a bunch of trash. It raised its weapon to strike humans, but a blue light beam stopped it just in time. It was Du-An who had timely prevented a fatal blow, saving humanity. The monster roared like thunder, making the ground shake and the air thicken. Du-An declared that Ning Feng probably didn't need his protection, but since he was standing here, Mr. Feng wouldn't need to act. He was confident he could eliminate this giant monster. Hearing his words, it mocked and despised him. Without further delay, he gave it a palm strike that sent it flying far away, unable to resist. The monster was very surprised by his strength. The skull monster, its eyes burning red, revealing sharp fangs, looked at him with a murderous face full of hatred. Du-An held two glowing swords crossed over his shoulders, gathering strength preparing to attack. The hideous monster hadn't yet stood up when it was sealed by intricate beams of light around its body from Du-An's two swords. Everyone was amazed by his effortless defeat of the monster, judging he might have a high-level hidden profession. To be honest, looking at him returning from battle, his angular face combined with cold, icy eyes enhanced his handsome, radiant appearance. He was Du-An, level 137, possessing the secret warrior profession, a type of 5-star hidden profession. Ning Feng was inwardly excited by his prowess but still tried to show satisfaction in a reserved manner. A young man aimed his bow at the monsters flying in the sky. Du-An stood facing Ning Feng, asking if he wanted him to do anything else. Ning Feng laughed with delight, giving him a thumbs up for his excellent performance. People buzzed with discussion, wondering how formidable Ning Feng must be for Du-An to be so respectful to him. Some thought he was a wealthy young master, bringing bodyguards for training. Du-An offered the boss's spoils, hoping Ning Feng would accept them. The surrounding crowd gasped and shouted when they saw it was an orange prop, very rare and valuable. Ning Feng accepted the spoils, which included a skill book for the agility system. He immediately thought of giving it to Wang Yu, and a shield he couldn't use could be sold for money. A guard approached the two with a miserable appearance, indicating he wanted some time. Suddenly, a man bowed, expressing sincere thanks to Du-An and Ning Feng for saving Longbai City. He introduced himself as Ka Dongming, the mayor of Longbai City, guessing the two weren't from this city. At this point, Ning Feng sighed, saying he had originally come for work but was trapped, so he temporarily couldn't leave. Ning Feng spoke in a serious tone, asking why the mayor was here and if he felt no remorse in his heart. The mayor stammered that he had activated the highest alert. He bowed his head, and the guard quickly apologized to Ning Feng and Du-An, hoping for their understanding. Ning Feng told them it wasn't necessary. Mayor Dongming ordered his subordinate to get flying scrolls as compensation for the two. Hearing this, Ning Feng thought these were good items, difficult to buy where he came from. Although they could only be used once, they were very useful. Dongming invited the two to stay here for safety. Ning Feng thought the mission only had 3 days to complete, so he had to decline. He again spoke seriously, declining because he wasn't free, making the mayor sweat, admitting he hadn't been thoughtful enough. The mayor's subordinate brought the scrolls. He also respectfully gave the 2 highest-level black cards as a thank-you gift. Ning Feng whispered to Du-An that he had heard these highest-level black cards were only given to a few people. No wonder the mayor could buy them. He guessed the mayor's status wasn't ordinary. He happily accepted, also thanking the mayor. Mayor Ming scratched his head, smiling awkwardly, relieved that Ning Feng accepted, so he wouldn't need to worry about offending him. He put on a pleading face, wanting to ask for their help if Longbai faced danger in the future. Ning Feng nodded in agreement but said he would have to be free to help. The people accompanying the mayor cheered happily, thinking they could be safe with him. After finishing, the two left together. The two went to the mission location. The scene changed to Kinyu City at the transformation hall. 3 people were standing there. Holy Officer Jia was delighted to see Wang Yu's appearance. She stepped out with Zhao Cheng. She suddenly faltered, her eyes looking into the distance. She directed her gaze toward 2 people flying high in the sky. Zhao Cheng asked what was wrong. Wang Yu lowered her face, thinking, then said she just saw someone flying up there who looked like Ning Feng. Hearing this, he laughed somewhat contemptuously, saying she must be mistaken because Ning Feng couldn't afford flying scrolls. Wang Yu glared at him with frightening eyes, her voice hoarse, warning that if he dared to speak ill of Ning Feng, she would teach him a lesson. He angrily thought to himself, not understanding why she defended a poor person like Ning Feng. What did Ning Feng have that he didn't? Jia changed the subject, asking if they had taken their missions yet. Zhao Cheng closed his eyes and sighed, regretting he couldn't get an S-rank mission. Zhu Fu thought only the European emperor could get S-rank. Warrior Xian praised him, saying at just 18 years old, he led the university competition, and moreover, having an A-rank transformation was a great opportunity for him. Holy Officer Jia quickly asked about Wang Yu. She remained silent with sorrow. They were still waiting for her answer. Jia felt Wang Yu wasn't doing well, wondering if she had drawn a C-rank mission or below. Zhao Cheng secretly laughed at her misfortune, never expecting her to have such a day. He proudly patted his chest, telling her not to worry because he would help her. At this point, she finally spoke, asking why she should be sad about her S-rank when he wasn't sad about his A-rank. Everyone was stunned, unable to believe their eyes. Zhao wondered why she hadn't mentioned it earlier. Wang Yu realized her situation was different from others. Wang Yu had a mission to unlock hidden professions that no one but her could discover. Zhao Cheng finally understood, though he really couldn't believe it. He had never heard of a hidden profession being triggered during transformation. He suspected Wang Yu was mistaken. She recounted when she transformed, she arrived at a room containing crystals. A notification appeared saying that if she possessed the Pioneer badge, the Agile Archer profession could be upgraded to Pioneer Shadow, and the transformation mission would also change accordingly. An interface for upgrading the quick movement skill appeared with 2 options, promote or cancel. Wang Yu didn't understand why this interface appeared. She found the badge familiar, and after thinking for a moment, she remembered it was the badge Ning Feng had given her. She didn't expect it to have this effect. She recalled that moment. He was very confident, perhaps he already knew. She happily chose to promote, smiling sweetly, very grateful for Ning Feng's gift. That was the reason she turned out this way. Holy Officer Jia thought Wang Yu had made a hasty decision. Hearing this, Zhao Cheng's mouth fell open in surprise. What Wang Yu mentioned he had never seen before. He didn't believe it, suspecting the system had a problem. If she chose wrong, her entire life would be wasted. Wang Yu said she didn't need him to care about her affairs. He protested, saying he only wanted what was best for her. Everyone chatted animatedly. Zhu Fu couldn't believe a 5-star profession could be upgraded, while Jia wished she had a childhood friend like Wang Yu did. He stood in a corner watching them having fun, which made him furious. He thought bitterly that he would never lose to anyone, so now Zhao Cheng had sent people to find a badge for him. He must find one no matter what. The scene changed to Ning Feng, who was examining the orange badge Duan had given him. This was the sacred badge, an orange consumable item that permanently boosted physical and mental attributes. The badge glowed with harmonious light. Now Ning Feng had equipped the badge. A strong, bright energy radiated from his chest. The system began the transformation. Ning Feng smiled happily. Not only did he have high attributes, but he also received new skills. Now he could see precise manipulation of forbidden spells. He wondered how far it could go. The notification informed him that the passive skill greatly enhanced his ability to control dark power and use forbidden spells more precisely. He would try it next time. Outside, Duan was waiting for him. Someone was watching him from afar. Sulan pondered. He was the warrior she had met earlier. Why was he with Ning Feng? She guessed he was guarding the door for Ning Feng. She looked him over, seeing he was young, but already possessed the strength of 4th transformation. Even by her generous estimation, he was a rare and powerful expert. She unconsciously thought about how she had probed earlier and found he was accompanying Ning Feng with an extremely respectful attitude. Sulan reminded Qi Wei that Ning Feng was not simple. In this important exchange, Sulan had no choice but to trust Qi Wei, who agreed to confirm with Ning Feng. She always believed in him. Ning Feng walked along, laughing and talking with Duan. Suddenly, someone called his name. It was Ms. Wei who had found him. Ning Feng asked what she needed. She nodded, saying she had something to discuss with him. Duan, understanding, turned to leave but called him Great Master, surprising Ms. Wei. Ning Feng rubbed his head and laughed awkwardly, quickly explaining the young man was joking, so she shouldn't pay attention. Qi Wei asked if he had completed his first transformation. Ning Feng didn't understand how she knew. He remained silent. He thought to himself that although he didn't want to keep secrets, it was too early for her to know. But she always cared for him, so she probably wouldn't harm him. Ning Feng admitted he had completed it, but hadn't wanted many people to know because it was difficult to explain. Qi Wei became completely serious, as if no longer joking. She wanted to confirm something from Ning Feng, whether he was being eroded by dark power. He wondered why she asked such a strange question, inwardly anxious, thinking perhaps she knew about his system. Qi Wei reminded him that recently she had seen instances of secret realm anomalies invading reality with increasing frequency. She feared he would be affected by dark power and become an abnormal user. Ning Feng confirmed he wasn't an abnormal user, so she needn't worry. Ms. Wei wanted him to cooperate with her for a test. A sparkling black crystal appeared. This crystal of hers would show him his dark power. Ning Feng clearly showed tension and worry, facing a decision from which he couldn't back down. At this moment she had some doubts about him, but he smiled, saying perhaps it was because this was his first time in such a situation that he was needlessly concerned. Ning Feng moved his hand closer to the crystal to perform the test. As soon as his hand touched the crystal, it exploded. He was extremely frightened and worried. Ms. Wei was also very surprised that the crystal had shattered. Ning Feng, sweating profusely, anxiously asked Ms. Wei what the result meant. She trembled, trying to recall what Su Lan had instructed. Ms. Su Lan had said that when power is transmitted into the crystal, it will vibrate. The greater the vibration of the crystal, the higher the dark power content. She worriedly thought that no one had told her what it meant if the crystal exploded. The shattered stone left both of them too surprised to speak. Ning Feng scratched his head awkwardly, explaining that his awakening and immediate transformation was very unusual, but he hoped Qi Wei would trust him since they had known each other for a long time. Qi Wei's face darkened, inwardly feeling sorry for him, having lost his parents early, awakening late, yet still being able to grow up like this wasn't easy. She lowered her voice and patiently explained that although she trusted him, based on her duty, she still had to report it to her superiors. He understood this inherently. Though he said this, inwardly he was still very troubled, not knowing how the government would react. Regardless, he had to leave Kinyu City. Qi Wei took out something shiny and gave it to him. He looked at it curiously, not knowing what it was. She gave him a high-grade purple book as a gift to congratulate him on his successful transformation. His eyes lit up with happiness as he accepted it. To Qi Wei's surprise, he took out something glowing golden to thank her for taking care of him these past years. A golden belt. It was Holy Wings, level 30, increasing mental strength, recovery effect, physical recovery, and especially the holy light function. The wearer wouldn't need to chant when using it. She opened her eyes wide, not daring to believe she was holding an orange item that could save countless people in critical moments. She quickly waved her hands, refusing to accept such a valuable thing. He still smiled, insisting she take it because it was just a spoil of war. He stuffed it into her hand, then made an excuse that a friend was waiting, turning to Li and leaving her stunned. Ning Feng and Du An's silhouettes grew more distant, leaving only her watching from behind. She was extremely puzzled by this action of giving orange equipment to someone else. The scene changed to the adventurer's office. Qi Wei stood before Su Lan's desk, reporting the incident. Those shattered stones were like a mystery holding them back, because this was the first time she had seen it. Qi Wei contemplated that soon other people would attack Ning Feng, considering him a threat. That wouldn't be good. Su Lan suddenly stood up, her attitude seeming to give up, wanting to stop here. Qi Wei didn't understand what stop meant. Su Lan lifted her glasses frame, concluding that he was temporarily a variable beyond their understanding. She believed that if he was a true expert, they should fight to the end rather than picking faults to lose the other party's goodwill. Xinjiang immediately asked Su Lan if they needed to report. She firmly decided to temporarily suspend the investigation of Ning Feng and lock down all information. Qi Wei quickly raised her hand in agreement, thinking that since he had no backing, this could be a good shield for him. Su Lan pondered again, planning to shift the target to Duan because, after all, they were recruiting people, so adding a strong person was still very good. Night had fallen, and the lights in Ning Feng's apartment building had been turned on. Duan noticed his mood wasn't good and asked about it. He sprawled on the sofa, somewhat listless after hearing the call informing him that the investigation about him had been stopped. Duan found it puzzling because it was clearly good news, yet his attitude was as if he was about to die. He was so worried that his cheeks hollowed. He was thinking about how to level up in the future when each time he broke through a secret realm, it caused heaven-shaking chaos. At this rate, sooner or later, the government would catch him. Du-en pondered, both admiring and respecting him because he had concerns unlike anyone else. If he hadn't witnessed it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed one person could destroy a secret realm. Suddenly, he had an idea. Could they try leveling up in secret realms prepared by the government to hide? According to Du-en's information, many new secret realms had appeared due to anomalies in deep forests and caves. He also knew that because government officials didn't want to waste energy dealing with them, some were occupied by evil forces. Ning Feng regained his spirit and wanted to know how he knew these things. Seeing Ning Feng's revived spirit, Du-en wanted to run off and gather more information for him, as he currently only knew 2 locations. He rested his hands behind his head, relaxed, letting Du-en go to work, because he trusted that he would be more successful than if he went himself. He pulled out the Supreme Black card from the trading area, calculating whether he should rest a bit tomorrow because, after all, he also used forbidden spells to level up, not fearing regression. The scene changed to the city's express guest house, also late with not many floors lit up. Du-en slowly entered, choosing to rest here for a night before renting a room tomorrow. Zhang Ji seemed to have been waiting there, waiting to him. He wasn't sure who he was. The two sat at table. Zhang Ji introduced himself first, saying he was the newly appointed mayor, thanking him for previously saving people and wanting to know his future plans. His eyes suddenly sharpened, somewhat wary that this person was just speaking superficially. He didn't reveal any expression of falsehood, still warmly welcoming a strong person like him. Zhang Ji gave him a red card with a sword and wings on it, granting him adventurer certification with special rights. If he had any needs, just tell them, and they would fulfill them. Du-en took the shining card, examining it meticulously. He unconsciously sweated, inwardly worried because he knew many big cities were courting him, fearing he would look down on their small locality. Unexpectedly, he skillfully tucked the card into his inner clothing without any politeness. Both shook hands, implicitly confirming their relationship, for which he was continuously grateful. Du-en outwardly accepted it for himself, but inwardly kept it for Ning Feng to use when needed. Zhang Ji flashed a bright smile, inwardly delighted because having a 4th transformation expert here meant their city would be safer, all thanks to Su Lan's idea, though he knew nothing about Ning Feng. He excitedly and enthusiastically asked about Du-en's living situation so he could prepare accommodations right away, leaving Du-en only able to mumble an agreement. The final game had been won. Ning Feng was so engrossed in playing that he didn't realize it was time to sleep. Before he turned off his computer, he noticed the group chat was still buzzing despite it being late. The conversation content only revolved around level-ups or transformation mission transfers. Ning Feng silently read the messages in the group chat, then marveled to himself, not thinking he could surpass his classmates in such a short time, while they had awakened very early. Moreover, they were required to have at least 1st transformation to enter the exam. Suddenly, the conversation in the class group shifted to discussing Ning Feng. He hated how someone who had a secret crush on Wang Yu kept pointing at him, just playing games, yet still being gossiped about. Fortunately, Qi Wei had spoken up for him, making the other person so embarrassed he had to withdraw his message. Ning Feng burst out laughing at her straightforwardness. Then his eyes caught something. It turned out the group conversation had shifted to the secret realm invasion. Everyone was buzzing about the masked hero who had defeated the monsters earlier. Ning Feng hadn't expected the situation of the mutated world that Qi Wei and Du-en had mentioned before to be this serious, but he also didn't intend to trouble himself. Those monsters still deeply regretted giving him the opportunity to escape. On this side, the boss suddenly sneezed loudly. The boss couldn't understand why he felt an omen. At this time, at the Yuancheng Trading Center, Yang Xin was standing straight, seriously greeting customers. Just then, Xiao Xo approached from somewhere behind, proactively asking about her health condition, but her tone didn't seem very friendly. Yang Xin confirmed she had recovered, but to Xiao Xu's ears, this meant she wanted to come to work early to find ways to climb higher. Yang Xin hurriedly explained herself. However, Xiao Xu still liked to mock her, looking down on her for choosing the wrong support, not knowing herself yet daring to steal items from a 4th transformation warrior. Now she was probably already dead. Yang Xin could only loudly deny this rumor, but she still liked to laugh sarcastically, because she knew that person was just a late awakening loser, with no relatives, so poor, how could he have high-grade items? She confidently asserted this person was a thief just because a 4th transformation warrior had come looking. While Xiao Xhe was still being arrogant, she was suddenly attacked. The person who acted was Ning Feng. He had heard the entire conversation, so he was angry and wanted to scare her a bit. Xiao Xu was shocked, turning her head to confirm it was him. Then she angrily called security to arrest him for daring to use magic to attack here. Yang Xin worriedly advised Ning Feng to quickly leave, yet he appeared extremely relaxed. She tried hard to persuade him, letting him know that the forces here weren't simple. If entangled, it would be difficult to resolve. Just then, a group of people approached. Leading them was Wang, who annoyedly asked Ning Feng why he dared to use magic to attack others here. But Ning Feng wasn't afraid at all. He directly challenged him for daring to investigate his information and labeling him a thief. Wang concluded with an ambiguous statement, only those involved know best. He didn't give Ning Feng a chance to question further and ordered security to rush forward and arrest him. Unexpectedly, he suddenly raised a card, accusing Yuan Cheng Trading Center staff of poor service to customers. Security had to break hard before they could touch him. Wang and Xiao Xu simultaneously couldn't believe their eyes because the card in Ning Feng's hand was the legendary black card of this place, yet Xiao Xu still asserted it was fake. Ning Feng remarked that this gift he received was quite valuable. Wang eagerly questioned where he got this black card, but he refused to tell him. If he was capable, he should investigate himself. Xiao Xu was truly scared, her brain unable to process anything, only able to depend on Wang. Wang ordered her to watch Ning Feng while he made a phone call to inquire. The scene was sealed off, with customers blocked outside. Indeed, shortly after, Kai Dong-ming called Wang to ask about his investigation of Ning Feng's black card. Wang broke into a cold sweat, stammering that everything was just a misunderstanding. He hadn't expected Ning Feng to have the ability to flatter Kai Dong-ming. However, Kai Dong-ming couldn't easily believe his words, insisting that Wang had offended an important person. But Wang still strongly guaranteed nothing had happened. As a result, Kai Dong-ming became angry, deciding to directly visit the trading center. Wang cried tears, still not understanding what the relationship between Ning Feng and his superior really was. Finally, he had no choice but to call Du-an to rely on him to avoid as much risk as possible. Ning Feng and Yang Xin waited together in the trading center's lobby. Coincidentally, Kai Dong-ming and Du-an arrived simultaneously. Ning Feng completely didn't understand why the two appeared here. Yang Xin was surprised to see that both Kai Dong-ming and Du-an knew Ning Feng. On this side, the two who had just arrived only showed anger, glaring at Xiao Xu. She was glared at until her face turned pale, but still didn't understand why. When she looked over at Wang, she became even more frightened because his entire being now had no life left. She anxiously asked Wang, while he knew his life was over. Kai Dong-ming still wanted to make Xiao Xu and Wang apologize to Ning Feng, but he refused to accept their apologies. After all, just by looking at their faces, he could tell these two would never change their ways. As a result, Kai Dong-ming decisively fired both of them. Wang and Xiao Xu still wanted to beg him for another chance. Wang angrily slapped Xiao Xu because she had implicated him. Kai Dong-ming helplessly called security to drag the two out. A moment later, in a high-level room, Yang Xin was carefully pouring water to serve the three, including Ning Feng. Kai Dong-ming keenly noticed that Ning Feng's attitude towards Yang Xin was very warm, thus confirming he still had some goodwill towards this place. Yang Xin stood aside, secretly admiring Ning Feng's great ability despite his youth. Kai Dong-ming was in high spirits, praising and encouraging her to work hard. She shyly bowed her head, affirming she would try. Afterward, Ning Feng also apologetically apologized to Kai Dong-ming for making him personally come due to the recent incident. Kai Dong-ming completely didn't count it as a favor. He had come because he remembered Ning Feng's past help. Then he recalled Ning Feng's action of viewing the treasure catalog in the trading center earlier and asked if he liked anything. He pointed out the only thing that interested him, terminal poison. However, it seemed Kai Dong-ming didn't know this item. Even Du-an didn't know it. Seeing their reactions, Ning Feng could only smile awkwardly, explaining that he had seen it online. Going back in time, Ning Feng was taking out a book. This was given to him by Qi Wei, very useful for mages wanting to supplement their magic power. He was curious about how this would transform into a forbidden spell. A few seconds later, a light suddenly emanated from Ning Feng's forehead. A passive skill notification appeared, indicating that the terminal poison in the dart power had been absorbed by the convergence case, then all converted into his own attributes. Ning Feng was curious about the pronunciation of the word poison because even before, the system had never explained it. Thinking for a long time without result and feeling sleepy, Ning Feng accepted defeat. Anyway, he didn't need it now. After finishing the conversation in the room, when leaving, Kai Dong-ming proactively invited both Ning Feng and Du-an to visit Longbai City when they had the chance. Then he took out his flying scroll, directly using flight magic to leave. After he left, Ning Feng invited Du-an to eat, so he invited him to his place for a meal. The two went to Du An's home together. Ning Feng was surprised as he glanced around the house, not believing this was the house Du An owned. Du An explained that anyone from fourth transformation upward who agreed to stay in Kinyu City would own such a house, but there were very few people. Du An was also willing to give the house to Ning Feng if he liked it. Ning Feng frankly declined, deciding to save more money and buy the house next door, becoming Du An's neighbor. Unexpectedly, when he heard Ning Feng wanted to make money, he proposed giving him his money directly. But of course Ning Feng still refused. He had calculated carefully. It was just that recently he had to buy equipment, so he spent quite a lot of star coins. If converted to money, buying a house wouldn't be difficult. It's just that if he bought a house, his star coins would be almost depleted. He worried that if there was an unexpected need for star coins, it would be quite troublesome then, so this matter was temporarily set aside. Ning Feng slowly drank a few sips of water. After drinking, he indeed felt more comfortable. Just now, Du An had called the specialized kitchen in the villa area to bring food. A few seconds later, his phone suddenly rang. The caller wanted to trouble him with something. Because superiors were sending people down to investigate the accidents that had occurred in the city, Zhang Ji wanted to ask Du An a few things. Du An silently tilted his head to look at the person opposite him. Meanwhile, Ning Feng didn't understand anything. Du An worried this would implicate Ning Feng, so he refused to talk to Zhang Ji right away, wanting to discuss this with Ning Feng first. Zhang Ji didn't force it, just hoping he could call back within the next 2 days. Ning Feng was curious about what kind of place the investigation team was. Actually, this was also a strange place like Kinyu City. Moreover, there was a mysterious boss who always remained hidden. In some meeting room, someone asked if anyone in the room had ever met the mysterious Great Master. Su Lan could only say she had never seen him. The Doomsday Anomaly wondered why rumors of a masked hero who had saved Kinyu City appeared when no one had ever met this person. Su Lan affirmed it was due to the sudden appearance of the Secret Realm invasion and the losses from the eliminated abnormal user. However, before she could finish, he rejected her explanation, reasoning that the danger level of Secret Realm invasions varied with time and strength. He frankly mocked this masked hero, asking what he had done during the other 2 Secret Realm incidents involving king-level attacks. Su Lan fell silent. Qi Wei was somewhat worried for her because she had used her authority to change all information related to Ning Feng just to protect him, so now she had to bear all the pressure. At this moment, Zhang Jie returned to the meeting room to report that Du Man had refused to answer questions today. The Doomsday Anomaly immediately became angry, complaining about free adventurers like Du An, while despising him for deliberately appearing busy to refuse their group. Finally, he assigned himself to manage the entire investigation, while others were sent away to do other things. At night in the dangerous cemetery's secret realm, someone stepped on a dry branch, creating a sound. A guard cautiously blocked that person. The Doomsday Anomaly acted cordial in greeting. The guard immediately recognized him as someone from the investigation team. Then he stated his request, and of course, no one dared to stop him anymore. After the Doomsday Anomaly entered the secret realm, everywhere was devastated and in ruins. Looking at the scene around, he couldn't help but be startled by the power that could completely destroy an entire secret realm here. Things that had been attacked by dark power still retained that power. The Doomsday Anomaly recalled the rumored masked hero and felt only contempt, believing that if comparing that person's power with the power in this secret realm, that person would have no chance at all. He crazily laughed in the middle of the ruined battlefield. Then he raised his hand to summon dark power. The next moment, the true form of the Doomsday Anomaly appeared. He happily admired his form surrounded by infinite powerful energy. This was the king-level big boss, and he would be the one to take it all. Back at Duan's villa, Ning Feng was still resting at his house, leisurely playing games. A few seconds later, the system suddenly reminded him that the Doomsday Anomaly had appeared. Now he could sense something through the aura. He focused his spirit through the connection of the aura to grasp the current position of the thing linked to him. Finally, Ning Feng picked up his jacket and quickly put it on. Duan saw his action and was a bit curious, but he just briefly explained he was going out. Before leaving, Ning Feng happily entrusted the task of finishing the game to him. On the main road, 2 cars appeared, moving almost parallel to each other. Ning Feng looked at the GPS map and realized the Doomsday Anomaly was appearing near the dangerous cemetery's secret realm. However, through the connection in the aura, he could sense that he was moving. It turned out the Doomsday Anomaly had left for outside the gate of the dangerous cemetery's secret realm. 2 guards watching outside quickly reported to their superiors. They trembled looking at the monster before them, only to see on the monster's head appear a human head. It was the person who had just gone in. He opened his eyes wide, begging the people to save him. There was a section on the main road with a no traffic warning sign, making all cars stop in the middle of the road. In front, two people stood blocking and reminded drivers of danger ahead. Ning Feng's driver had to report this situation, but he just calmly paid the fare and opened the door to step out. He could sense that the doomsday anomaly was standing still. On this side, the head attached on top of the monster kept crying for help. Qi Wei's group very quickly arrived at the scene. Su Lan led the group, staring in shock at the thing before them, completely bewildered and not understanding anything. After just a few minutes, the situation became more tragic. Qi Wei was trying hard to heal Su Lan's wounds. Finally, she woke up. Qi Wei immediately sighed in relief. Fortunately, Ning Feng had previously given her equipment that reduced the time needed for chanting holy songs, thus being able to quickly save people. Although Su Lan was now awake, the situation was extremely urgent because if that monster could defeat someone as strong as Su Lan, then no one would be strong enough to stop it. Su Lan, having just woken up, asked about the Doomsday Anomaly's location. Evidently, he had moved into the city. However, Zhang Jai had promptly sought Du An's help, though whether they could stop that monster was another matter. As soon as Su Lan heard this, she knew it was hopeless, because Du An's power was only at her level, and if she couldn't defeat it, then self-evidently, they could only rely on the big boss behind him. Wherever the Doomsday Anomaly went, he ruthlessly attacked, regardless of people or objects. His deadly face flickered in and out of the smoke and dust. Suddenly, someone who didn't know the fear of death stood blocking his way, even criticizing his head for being too big. It turned out this fearless person was Ning Feng. He was still hesitating, pondering whether or not to change his forbidden spell to eliminate the Doomsday Anomaly. However, in the next moment, the Doomsday Anomaly unexpectedly charged toward him proactively. His sharp claws almost split into Ning Feng. Seeing him not moving, he became more aggressive. But before the Doomsday Anomaly could touch him, he had created a shield to protect himself. It seemed he could sense the powerful force coming from Ning Feng, so he trembled in fear. Just then, the system displayed a notification asking for Ning Feng's opinion on absorbing the Doomsday Anomaly. He pressed confirm while feeling dissatisfied because the notification came too late, then speculated whether the condition for absorbing the Doomsday Anomaly was close-range contact. A few seconds later, Ning Feng was startled, looking straight ahead, only to see something radiating from his body as if corroding the Doomsday Anomaly. He screamed in agony, even the spikes on his body cracked. Ning Feng floated in the chaotic stream of his memories, finally ending with all his attributes being increased by 100. He was excited to gain so many attributes because even counting all attribute points from level 0 to 4th transformation in a 3-star profession wouldn't be this much. When the excitement passed, Ning Feng dazedly rubbed his head. Now he could sense that besides attributes, something else had been absorbed too, because now many strange images were floating in his brain. While he was still dazed, Duan happened to catch up, asking about the situation. Ning Feng calmly pointed to the Doomsday Anomaly he had just eliminated. Everything had been resolved. The person trapped inside the monster had also escaped, though he was still unconscious. Duan guessed that the Doomsday Anomaly was the monster Zhang Ji had mentioned. There was only one puzzling thing. No matter how he sensed, he could only detect the aura of a little bit of magic. While the Doomsday Anomaly was not an easy monster to deal with, so how had Ning Feng eliminated this monster? Ning Feng still smiled happily as usual, then entrusted the remaining responsibility to Duan. Duan watched him leave, marveling at this supernatural speed. He had always thought Ning Feng was just a mage, but that speed was even faster than professions in the agility system. Now he realized how limited his knowledge was. At this time in the prison of Qinyu City, the Doomsday Anomaly fully confessed that he was a monster and had been captured. Su Lan recounted his confession. Initially, he had encountered a demon with dark power in a secret realm. Surprisingly, he could transform the demon's power into his own, so he took advantage of pretending to investigate missions in the secret realm to plot to absorb the demon's power. Unexpectedly, the demon reversed the situation, leaving him no time to react. After hearing this, Zhang Ji became extremely excited, because this proved that the person who always secretly protected Qinyu City was real. Su Lan just smiled lightly, indicating agreement with his thoughts. Qi Wei also felt happy along with them. Zhang Ji curiously asked Duan if he had seen the appearance of that masked hero. He expressed that he had only met him once. Qi Wei and Su Lan were very surprised to hear him say so. Zhang Ji took the opportunity to probe about the masked hero from Duan, saying he and everyone were ready to meet any requirements of that person if he was willing to stay in this city. However, Duan quickly refused to cooperate, choosing to keep that person's identity secret. Fortunately, he and Ning Feng had been smart earlier, pushing all the credit onto that masked hero to avoid many troubles. Now, wanting to find evidence to prove it would be impossible, Zhang Ji could only sigh in regret. Finally, Duan had to console these people by revealing a bit of information related to the masked hero's relatives living in this city, so they could be somewhat reassured. However, they shouldn't disturb the family of that person. Sulan keenly grasped the two words, relatives. Kiwai even thought this masked hero was a relative of Ningfeng. In the evening at Ningfeng's home, while he was bathing, he suddenly had an insight. The origin of the Doomsday Anomaly was from the deaths of demon kings in the secret realm, and those strange images in his head were the private memories of the demon king when alive. Ningfeng hated these memories. He didn't want to become a demon king. However, just a few seconds later, he thought of how to use those memories. The memories showed scenes of monsters attacking humans, with secret realms containing dark power. That power would strengthen gradually through stages, and Doomsday would directly occur when they could no longer resist the space-time invasion. According to the current space-time, the path of cultivation and development for Awakeners was extremely difficult, which is why very few people reached fourth transformation. Moreover, the profession form of Awakeners only reached a normal level. After checking all the memories of the Demon King, Ningfeng couldn't help feeling disappointed at the limited information. If there was no breakthrough, humanity would become extinct. Although he was confident he would survive, he didn't want to be alone with monsters. Fortunately, based on the memory fragments, Ningfeng could confirm that besides this spacetime, many other spacetimes were also invaded by secret realms. Some places even managed to eliminate all the invading monsters. He considered the possibility of accumulating more artifacts than leaving the experiences he had gone through in this spacetime. However, currently, he still didn't know what experiences to leave behind. Ningfeng clearly knew his experiences were completely different from current knowledge. If others followed them, but not correctly, it might lead to big problems. Just at this moment, Wang Yu called. Ningfeng answered and joked with her. On Wang Yu's side, she had just completed her mission, so she had time to invite him to dinner. Ningfeng happily accepted her invitation. Wang Yu said she would send him the location later. After hanging up, she continued to go out. Outside, 3 people were already waiting. Wang Yu quickly saw those people. The 3, led by Holy Officer Jia, set off firecrackers to congratulate those who had successfully leveled up to second transformation. Zhao Cheng arrogantly walked among his fans. Then he came to Wang Yu, expressing his desire to invite her to a hotel to celebrate the transformation. However, she directly refused him and suggested everyone come to her house for dinner the next evening. Seeing her turn to leave, Zhao Cheng still wanted to persuade her more, but he was still bluntly rejected by Wang Yu. As a result, the 4 people, including Zhao Cheng, could only stare blankly as she left. He couldn't help but get angry at her attitude. Holy Officer Jia could only smile awkwardly, speaking on Wang Yu's behalf. Suddenly, Zhao Cheng asked the people behind if they felt tired and bored having to follow Wang Yu. He believed that now she had become much stronger, so the distance between her and people like Holy Officer Jia had also become greater than before. Holy Officer Jia just softly called Wang Yu's name. Meanwhile, Zhao Cheng continued brainwashing the group that someday, Wang Yu would coldly abandon them and leave the battle team. In the evening, at a large grilled lamb restaurant, Wang Yu introduced the quality of the lamb at this restaurant and told Ningfeng to quickly try it. He excitedly flattered her, saying only when he was with her could he eat such quality dishes. Wang Yu's invitation to eat was actually just because she wanted to repay him for giving her the badge, which had a great effect on her. After hearing Wang Yu's story, Ningfeng knew that what he had given her had helped activate a new hidden profession. He keenly discovered that the badge could be one of the ways to upgrade Awakeners because according to the Demon King's memory, the profession form of Awakeners in this spacetime had never reached the highest level. Wang Yu still wanted to ask about the origin of that badge, but Ningfeng just casually replied he didn't know. She sighed in regret. She had wanted to use money to buy that thing as a gift for Ningfeng and his teammates. Ningfeng was happy that she still remembered to give him gifts. Finally, Wang Yu pulled herself together, not forgetting to remind Ningfeng to diligently level up to have enough strength to protect himself. She even promised that after she found a badge, she would give it to him. If lucky, he might unlock a new profession. Ningfeng immediately frivolously refused to follow her advice, saying he just needed to hide behind her for protection. Hearing this, Wang Yu became very anxious. While she was eating, the pain from her wound suddenly stabbed. Ningfeng keenly noticed and asked about it, but Wang Yu just expressed that this was a minor wound, nothing to worry about. Ningfeng thought she hadn't treated it, but actually Wang Yu had already checked it. It was just that this was a wound caused by the S-rank mission boss, so it was difficult to heal immediately. Now Ningfeng realized how difficult S-rank transformation missions were. Just at this moment, his phone screen showed an incoming call. As soon as he answered, an aggressive voice asked if he was Ningfeng. He just asked back who the person was. Unexpectedly, the other party not only didn't reveal his name, but also fiercely asked him about the origin of the badge. Wang Yu curiously looked at Ning Feng and asked what was happening. He calmly told her about the conversation just now. Wang Yu was extremely surprised because she had never told anyone about the badge. But Ning Feng didn't care, still happily enjoying the lamb. However, a few seconds later, another unknown number called him. As soon as he answered, the other party immediately launched into a long tirade cursing him for daring to hang up the phone. Ning Feng, also only because Wang Yu was nearby, didn't want to make a big deal, so he hung up again. A while later, finally, the two finished eating. Ning Feng contentedly walked while patting his round belly. When about to part, Wang Yu once again confirmed that he didn't need her to see him off, as she was somewhat worried about him. However, Ning Feng still firmly asserted he didn't need it. Afterward, the two said goodbye and returned home. Ning Feng had now returned home. He slowly unlocked the door, yawning as he pushed the door open. Originally still sleepy, he suddenly opened his eyes wide to look, only to see everything in the house was extremely messy, like a battlefield. Then someone approached. An assassin, holding a book in his hand, smiled and greeted Ning Feng with a contemptuous tone. Ning Feng immediately guessed he was the person who had just called him while at the restaurant. The assassin also cheerfully admitted it, then threatened that he hadn't told the truth earlier, so he was found. Ning Feng directly asked about the mastermind behind him. Unexpectedly, the assassin burst out laughing, mocking him as a piece of trash who had just awakened his power yet dared to use such an attitude toward him. He even demanded that he bow his head in respect to a strong person like him.